Ladies and Habibis, we are going to introduction to you rising star of South Asia. He is very well educated. He knows Islam and Christianity very well. He done what they said he can. He is Doctor.
Alhamdulillah.
Wait a minute, what are you doing, Zakir? You come out, it's not you. Habibi, take him out. Sorry, there was some problem. He's Adam Zakir.
Hello everyone, this is your favorite Murtid. Salamul Masih, peace of Christ be with each and every one of you. I hope you guys are having fun. Hello and welcome back. I hope you guys had fun in the last live stream with Saint Murad. And last live stream we went through the overview and all. Today we are gonna dig deep. And this is the part 2, as you know, and a lot of people watched the first live stream and they loved it. So we're gonna invite our friend once again as promised. And today we are going to go into a little bit more detail. So before I invite my guest, guys, come on, please like and share. And I have already shared you with the Twitter link. So please go to Twitter, which is formal name of X. So please go to Twitter and retweet. Is it still called retweeting? I don't know. What is it called, by the way? Can somebody tell me? Like now that Twitter is not a Twitter but an X, is it still called retweeting? I don't know. What is it? Let me see. I don't know. So anyhow, so if you know if it is not called retweeting, then do re-Xing and do the re-Xing and tag your friends and especially your Muslim friends and all that. So we are gonna go into the detail of our subject. Oh, hey, Hussein Mashni said re-Xing. Hussein, welcome man as always. So let us invite our guest Saint Murad here. Welcome, brother. How are you?
Hello, Adam. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much for having me once again.
Thank you, brother, for coming in and giving us such beautiful, beautiful information. So today you're gonna give us the Quran from a non-Muslim translation?
Yeah, exactly. The title might be funny, but this is the reality of the situation. I will tell the people how I actually translated my Quran without using any Islamic material whatsoever.
Oh, so so without using any narrative, Islamic narrative, which is the sin narrative. Okay, that will be interesting. So please, the mic is yours. The show is yours. I'll be quiet until I have a question.
Okay, so I will share screen and we will go right into it.
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of people are waiting to see that. They're anxious to see this beautiful information. There you go. Your screen is up, brother.
Okay, so the first non Islamic Quran translation. My translation, as you remember with the last stream, the other translations, they were based on the sin, meaning the standard narrative, how Muslims understood the Quran. Now, my translation is based on language and not on how early Muslims understood the text. Now, let me tell you my story first. I am a native Arabic speaker from the Middle East. Arabic is my mother tongue. I have never studied in any Islamic institution, and that is a plus because I am not polluted with the sin propaganda. So I was a Muslim, but the mediocre Muslim, not the Salafist or anything like that. Throughout this journey, I was in a game of chess with the Quran. That's how I look at it. The first time I have encountered English Quran translations was when I first made YouTube videos with Mel from Islamic Origins. And here's how the story goes. Basically, I saw him. He made a video with Jay Smith on his channel, and then he made like a little bit of a mistake with Arabic. Then I was just a guy commenting on YouTube. I told him, well, this word you are using, it's not really accurate. And we talked a little bit on Skype. Then he told me, Murad, would you like to make a video with me? I told him, no problem. So I had to use some verses from the Quran. I did not know any English Quran translations. I didn't know any names, any translations, nothing. So I just said Quran translations in English, and then I stumbled upon Abdullah Yusuf Ali at that time and Sahih International. I just used some of the verses to make my point. We were talking about Dhul Qarnayn, and then as time went on, I saw how these translations were deceptive, so deceptive that I cannot even depend on them. So at a later stage, when I used to make videos with Mel, I used to take more time because I used to translate my verses. So I want to talk about three Quranic verses. I had to translate them myself better, not use other translations before making a video. You see? So fast forward, I said, why don't I translate chunks of the Quran? Just the important chunks. Then, even later, at a later stage, I kept fantasizing about the idea of why not translate the entire Quran like a totally different translation. And before I go on, Adam, what do you think?
That's a good start, quite frankly. And Abdullah Yusuf Ali's translation is, according to me, much better than Sahih International to an extent. But obviously, every single translator of the world is going to use some kind of a sin narrative. And when you actually first told me that not going to use it, quite frankly, I was amazed. I was like, how can it be possible? Because Quran doesn't even tell you anything. Everything in the Quran, unless you know the um, uh, reference from the Sira and Hadith literature, it's impossible to understand it. So, quite frankly, I am amazed that you are even able to do something like this, because how will you actually make a context? But anyhow, let's see. I am anxious to learn.
Yeah, exactly the point that you're saying is what fueled me to make this. Just the idea that it is impossible, it made me think that it's possible. You see, I like a good challenge. So, a sinless Quran translation. We all actually have a common enemy, and that is the sin. The only reason you trust the sin is that you never knew that it was this bad and you think it has no valid alternative. The sin is actually hiding the primitive layer of the Quran, which was suppressed mostly by the Abbasids. And by the sin, I mean the standard Islamic narrative. I mean anything Islamic other than the Quran. I mean the Hadith, Sunnah, Sirah, you name it. This is the sin. I told myself, never touch the sin and let's translate the Quran without it. I knew I was the only one to do it. So I swore an oath, actually, to deliver my people who were listening to me the best possible, sinless Quran translation. Not just because I am very passionate about the subject, but also because they gave me so much love on YouTube and I want to give back. That's that's the reality.
That was pretty sarcastic, because I know that love is not love, but fair enough.
Some love is genuine and some is like venom. You see?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like when you said love, I couldn't stop my laugh, but yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So here, what did non-Muslim and Muslim alike Quran translators have next to them as they were translating the Quran? Well, they had the sin. That makes them an orange. Now, what did I have next to me as I was translating the Quran? I had linguistics. That makes me an apple, meaning we are both different. Do not compare apples to oranges. It doesn't mean I am better, it means I'm different.
Can
So,
I compare you as a
yeah,
banana?
Me or them?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just, just kidding. Just kidding. Continue, sir.
So, first things first, checking the word and its variations in every single Quranic verse. This is how I tackled it, Adam, using the
Uh-huh.
Quran only. I used an Arabic Quran tool called the Quranic mining tool in Arabic. It's called Al-Munaqqib Al-Qur'ani. This is something that people in the English speaking world, they do not use it because it's Arabic only. It's a very primitive tool, but it gets the job done. This really helped me get the closest understanding to how the author actually intended the word without the pollution of the sin.
Oh,
Let's try, yeah, let's try this method. Do you want to see how I did it?
yes.
Okay, so here we have the word nasakha, for example. How many
Yep.
times is it mentioned in the Quran? 4 times.
Mashallah.
So, what?
I said mashallah 4 times. Nasakh.
Yeah. So the word nasakha is mentioned 4 times in the Arabic. In my translation, I have one English word for this Arabic word 4 times also. Why? Because the words I choose are accurate, that they fit like a glove in every single context. I have done this with every single word in the Quran, not once, but multiple times. This helped me create my next step, which was the concordance. But before going to that, let's look here. Nansakh. So you have nansakh, and you have nuskhatiha, and you have fayansakh, nastansakh. This is the same word, and it has a common meaning, a common core. So people, when they translate, when they look at every word just by itself, then they digress and they go further from what the author intended the word. So the first step was creating a concordance. What do you think so far?
So far, so good.
So a concordance is basically a dictionary with every single word in the Quran. I took the words of the Quran outside, as you could have an Apple device, for example, an iPhone. How will you understand this device? You will have to deassemble it, take it apart, take every single component apart, and then study it so that you can reorder it and reassemble it. That's how I did it. I have to take every word outside into a concordance. So I started by creating my own concordance from scratch with every single word present in the Quran. This brought a lot of surprises to the surface. This led to an ultra sharp accuracy. You see, for example, the word asaba, that's always translated as fingers, where in the Arabic we do not have fingers and toes, rather, we have digits. A digit is only for the thumb, or the finger, or the toe. Himar, for example, is translated as donkey, let's say. In reality, it's exclusively male donkeys in the informal way, so it will be jackass. This is how the Quran is talking.
Oh,
The word kelb is translated as dog when in reality it's a specific kind of dog that hunts, and this would be a hound, because the word is proven by Surah 5, verse 4, that this word kelb could be a verb. This is something that people didn't pay much attention to.
yeah, but like,
So
why does it
please,
matter whether
yeah,
it's a normal dog or what kind of a dog? Why does it matter in any way or form?
yeah, this is the next point. Please don't
Okay.
say stuff like, why is this important? Because if you are being mediocre or average in translating words like these, then you will most likely be disqualified in translating other words that actually affect the religion. You see? So, why does stuff like this matter? This is not for me to answer. This is for later people who will get this translation, and then they will make the smart, they will ask the smart questions, the correct questions. Maybe someone in the future is gonna look exclusively at the animals mentioned in the Quran. Then maybe we can pinpoint where the Quran came from? This is one of the academic questions. You see, so it is not for me to say at this stage. What do you think, Ed?
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Makes sense. Makes sense. That answers my question as well because yes, you're right.
So, like a pencil, the more you sharpen it, the better. My concordance was becoming sharper and sharper by the day, sometimes serendipitously, or let's say by a lucky coincidence, correcting errors from 14 centuries. This is the reality. Now, before going to this, what do you think so far?
I'm already interrupting you in the middle. I'm sorry, but yeah, so far makes sense.
Okay, people sometimes could ask, Murad, can't I just use ChatGPT to get the correct Arabic?
No, no, shit, no, you cannot do that. ChatGPT is the most biased, sinful thing ever in the history of sins.
Yeah, you see, you know this, but not everyone knows this. So I'm glad that you actually strengthened my point before even mention it. So I'd say no. Personally, I tried this and AI is horrible. It's more sinful than Muslims themselves.
Yeah, because it's not the fault of AI as well. Like it's like the AI is not translating it. It is using the translations which are already there. Number one, number two, it is even using the articles. So the problem is that it goes into article and find the answers from the articles rather than finding the true answer. So for example, if you ask them something and it will give you a pure article based answer rather than a search based on even Quran and Hadith. It will just not give you the answer based on Quran and Hadith. It will just go into the into the articles. This is really stupid. I don't know why and who made it in this manner. It is the most stupid way to create an AI. So you are making the AI to learn from articles, and articles have a lot of lies in it as well. And yeah, that's just silly. So ChatGPT is the most silly way to learn stuff. That's what I would say.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just very important to highlight this for people who have no idea. So at this stage, the concordance got even sharper. Now, another thing that I have done is that I actually read the entire dictionary. Another step was not very average, and that was I read the entire Oxford Dictionary, but the abridged version. There is something that is much more huge. This is
Now,
over 4,000 pages. Why? To increase my vocabulary, I highlighted a lot of words that I knew might be in the Quran. You see, that's why I read it to expand and open my mind because, of course, there are words that are genius that typically fit the Quranic word that I had to look for it to be qualified for this. What do you think of this step? It took me
uh,
like less than a month to make this.
I don't know how you did not go cuckoo after reading dictionary because who in this right mind reads a dictionary? So are you are you okay? Did you have to go to some kind of a mental hospital after doing that? Because I don't know how you are not cuckoo after doing this.
To be honest, it was fun. I was very happy because the words I see, I knew that I was going to use, and it was going to be very good for the people. So I was happy because this step really gave me a lot of keys, a lot of insight that I didn't know before. So, on the contrary, I was very excited with this step.
Oh, all right. Alhamdulillah.
So, after the concordance, reading the entire Oxford Dictionary further strengthened the concordance because the word choice is even better. Now, next step was reading an actual linguistic source. الفروق اللغوية للعسكري or the linguistic differences by العسكري. I have read it all. Why? to discern the very subtle differences between every Arabic synonym. No synonym is like exactly the same. There are subtle differences. I have also noticed that Muslims do not respect the Quran at all. They say it is a linguistic miracle, yet they don't obsess over linguistics. They don't read books like Al Askari, but rather they put their heads into the sin standard Islamic narrative. What do you think, Adam, about Muslims who never talk about language, although they say that Arabic is a miraculous language?
I fully agree because the people who say that Quran is in a miraculous language are actually not Arabs. So far, I have not seen a single Arab speaking coming to me and saying, "Hey, Adam, Quran is a linguistically miraculous." Like I haven't seen that. Have you?
No, not at all.
Yeah, because it's just Arabic. It's just another language. So only the non-Arabs will say that. The people from America, Canada, India, Pakistan, and UK, and like these kind of Muslims will come. It's a miraculous language. And then what's the miracle in it? Nothing.
Yeah, and a lot of people are actually bullied into believing that because if they question that right away, Muslim da'wagandists, they will tell them, who are you to say it is not a linguistic miracle? Who are you? So they bully them on the spot, you see?
I fully agree.
So reading Abu Hilal al-Askari's linguistic differences further strengthened the concordance. Now, what about English words of Arabic origin? I have read and looked into all possible English words of Arabic origin. Why? So that the English word of my choice is not just accurate in meaning, but sometimes also is a direct loan word and sounds the same. But don't worry, I have only used them in very rare cases where the meaning and the sound are the same. You see?
Okay.
So this again further strengthen the concordance. For example, the word maraja in Arabic, it is the same as merge in English. So when he
Marajal
says,
Bahrain. Yep,
yeah,
makes sense.
so when you say maraj al Bahrain, and in English you say he connected the seas or anything other than merge, not a problem, but not 100% accurate. Like this is not like the best word ever. You see?
Makes sense.
So at this point, the concordance, you could say 100% perfected. Now, word choice, even more precision. In Arabic, just like in English, there are words that are formal, informal, humorous, vulgar, poetic, and so on. After I perfected my concordance, I checked to find the perfect fit also. So, if I look at the word enemy, for example, is it enemy or is it foe? I also translated the words back into Arabic to see what comes out so that I can further choose a better word. So, a lot of words I just translated it again into Arabic. For example, if you look at any English translation of the Quran, try and translate it back into Arabic. When you get the Quran, most likely you will get something totally different. That's how weak these translations are.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
So, archaic or modern English? This is a question. I say, do we have the luxury to choose? I don't care. Anything that gets the job done. So, you see, my translation is a mixture of both because this is the only way to encompass a Quranic word. Now, why have archaic pronouns like thou, thee, all this stuff? Well, you see, in English, if you are an English speaker, you have a very firm translation of the Bible to rely on, which is the King James Version and others. But when it comes to the Quran, you don't have any. That's why I had to do it this way. Is it necessary? Of course. Let me show you why. You see, in Arabic, you have anta would be singular, antum would be plural, antuma would be a pair. In other translations, you. Now, in my translation, you have thou, this is for singular, ye for plural, and tuma would be both of you or the two of you, depending on the context, but I never leave it just as you. You see, Adam?
Yeah, that actually kind of makes sense because Arabic has a lot of things which in current simple English does not encapsulate fully. And Old English was actually close to the Semitic languages like Arabic or Hebrew. So I think some of these words are necessary to be used, and it makes sense.
Yeah, and also the Quran is a very obscure document. It does not need any more obscuring. So you don't have any context in the Quran. Do you think it's a good idea to make it even more vague, even more strange by ruining the pronouns like a liberal?
Oh man, forget about that. That's not even liberalism. I don't know what that is. Don't go there. Okay, reverse gear.
Okay,
Forget it.
okay. So I started adding the final touches to my concordance. The concordance itself isn't for sale. I say this is like the KFC secret recipe, but it's all contained in my Quran translation. It took me 4 years to finish my concordance.
Oh, that's a
Now,
long time.
yeah, it's since I made my first live stream with you, I think.
Wow.
Now that my concordance is complete, I then head to the Quran itself. And since I like being neat, I have manually dissected each surah of the Quran into PowerPoint slides like this. So you see, this is a PowerPoint slide, half a page from the Quran. I did this manually, and you have on the left the box to translate. Taking every page as a snapshot so that every PowerPoint slide has half a Quranic page with a blank box next to it, as you can see here. This task took me a few days to complete, but of course it was very tiring. So the next step, of course, was dissecting every surah into PowerPoint form. Yeah, before I go even further, what do you think?
A lot of work went into this.
Yeah, exactly. So at this stage, the concordance, now I took what's in it into the translation. Start translating. So I basically started copying my concordance into my translation, and this resulted over a 90% consistency rate. So you will find very few vocabulary in my translation, exactly like the Arabic, which has very few vocabulary. All other translations are not even 10% consistent. They don't even know what consistency looks like because they walked the wrong path. Now, this step took me just a few months. So you see, Adam, I translated the Quran in just a few months because already I have my concordance. It's like if someone goes to the final exam and then he just reads uh, a review paper, you will tell him, "Aren't you scared? This is the final exam." He will say something like, "No, I'm not scared. I have been doing the right thing, reading the entire curriculum throughout the entire year. So when it comes to the final exam, I'm just very calm because I got this." You see?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So from the concordance, started translating from my concordance, and this came out the Quran, the Murad translation. Now, what about the design? I tried my best to retain the 1924 Quran design, Arabic, retaining all the symbols in the Arabic Quran. You will not find this in English, and I do not know why, like this one or this one, prostrate and actually having a line above the words or below. This is never in any translation, but it's in mine. So you
So
could
an
say,
English Quran which looked like an Arabic Quran. Ah, makes sense.
yeah, exactly. So you could say that the Murad translation is actually a carbon copy of the original. Now, what about brackets in my translation?
Oh, please
Oh,
don't tell me.
I will tell you, and just hear me out. Only one form of brackets, and I will tell you why. Let's say the word rahat. What does it mean? It means in Arabic a clan ranging from 3 or 7 all the way to 10 or less. Now, I ask you, Adam, how would you translate this word rahat into English
A
without
clan.
this whole sentence? Just a clan, then we're gonna miss out on all of this detail. Do you think this is fair?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So that's why I just have these rare brackets because there are no English words to encapsulate this word.
So
I've had, yeah,
if a clan has more than 10, what will it be called rather than Rahat? There's like another word for it?
yes,
Interesting. Okay.
that's the idea. And I got this straight from the Arabic dictionary.
Nice.
I put it this way so that you know that this bundle of words actually represent one Arabic word, but it is an integral part of the word and not an added commentary. So read my brackets, they are original and they come straight from the Arabic dictionary. So it is only for words like these that have no English word whatsoever. And if I use an English word just like clan, then I miss out on all of this detail, which is actually present in the Arabic dictionary. You see?
The first translation where reading the bracket will make sense. Okay.
Yeah, because this is the word. This entire sentence is the word. So this is not my commentary whatsoever. Now, I have some words that are not translated in my translation. This is Gert Puin, who worked on the Sana'a manuscript, which is believed to be the oldest Quran manuscript today. What did he have to say about the Quran? This is like almost number one authority. He says, the Quran claims for itself to be mubin or clear, but if you look at it, you will notice that every fifth sentence or so simply doesn't make sense.
He's using my statement, man.
You see? If the Quran is not comprehensible, if it can't even be understood in Arabic, then it is not translatable. So these are the words of Dr. Puin himself. So a fifth of the Quran is not translatable. That's why I didn't translate these words because they have no root in the Arabic dictionary, they have no meaning, and they might be just scribal errors, actually. You see?
Oh, okay.
Untranslated words are the mistake of the author, Allah, not the translator. I am okay with it being considered a negative in my translation, but I am not okay with just filling the gaps. I'm not gonna lie to the people. When they Arabized it, they ruined it. This is the reality of the situation. The original meanings of these words are actually lost. You see?
Nice.
Now, last time I asked you if I gave you white sugar, eggs, baking soda, vanilla, and milk, what will you make out of this?
A
You
cake.
told me cake. So you can make an amazing cake like our Christian friends, or you can make a horrible cake like the Muslim translators of the Quran. But the reality is, with the same ingredients, you will get the same results. It will always be a cake. A cake. But on the other hand, if I gave you yeast, flour, oil, pepperoni, and mushrooms, what will you make out of this? Think about it.
Pizza?
Yes, pizza.
Okay.
So the Murad translation could be the only pizza. The other ones are cakes. So, in other
Different
words,
ingredients.
yeah, different ingredients, therefore different results. So here you have the sin or standard Islamic narrative rendition of the Quran. You have the Muslims and the non-Muslims. That will make them oranges. On you only have one original primitive meaning of the Quran, which only used the language, which would make me an apple. So people who ask what's the difference between my translation and everyone else, well, it's because I used a totally different approach, which got us a totally different result.
But nobody puts mushroom on a pepperoni pizza. But you have a wrong ingredient over there.
Oh,
That's why
come on.
I'm.
I love mushroom.
But
Without
you can't put
mushroom,
it on. You can't put it on a pepperoni pizza.
no, of course you can.
It's like having a pizza with pineapples on it. If you put mushroom on a pepperoni pizza.
Pizza with pineapples is one of the greatest pizzas, actually. Sweet and sour.
Okay, I'm muting myself
You
now.
could ask the audience.
I'm muting myself now.
Domino's Pizza had a great pineapple pizza, so I know what I'm telling
Yeah, pizza which is sweet. Come on, man. But anyhow,
you. Yeah.
yeah, this the food is all about personal taste and flavor, so no issues in there. But yeah, I won't. There you go. Hussein Washni said, "My wife loves Canadian bacon and pineapple pizza." There you go. Murad,
See?
there you go. You have friends. You have friends here. They like the same flavor.
Yeah. Okay. So now, this is a question that people could ask. What makes my Quran translation unique? And I say the Murad translation, a better revelation. Well, you see, my translation, it could be the missing link. People told me, Murad, you have to tell people why is your product better. Then I thought, better? Better than what? It is the first product to come into existence. It is the first ever Quran translation that ignored the entirety of the sin. This translation will give you the hidden layer of the Quran, which was suppressed by the Abbasids and their sin standard narrative. You can say it serves as the missing link between the time of Muhammad, if he existed, till the Abbasid Caliphate. My translation will get you much closer to understanding the secrets of the Arabic language. Yes, it is not the final answer. The final answer might be a future Aramaic only translation, but still a big step towards cracking Islam's code. Before I illustrate, what do you think so far, Adam?
You're so right. There is nothing to compare. You made the cake for the very first time. I hope many other comes and fills it and even makes it better. Like I would love to see somebody coming up and saying, okay, this is a mistake and I'm gonna give you a better translation in this. And so yes, you are sparking a new wave in looking at the Arabic of the Quran without the sin narrative. So I would say you are the, Einstein of today in Quranic translation. A lot of people will not like it, but then again, a lot of people didn't like Einstein at his time as well. He was saying things which were very unique, very different. They went against the norm and the culture of the society and the scientific uh, knowledge of that particular time. Same is the case with your translation. You are going in a very tangent than the norms of the Quranic translations. You are saying things which will not be accepted very easily. But then again, uh, 20 years down the road, I think some other people will come up and they will jump in to look at the Quran without the sin narrative. I fully agree. It's unique, it's new, and never have been heard before. and there could be better, but today we are going to see the first time Quran being translated in this way. So yeah.
Yeah. So allow me to illustrate so that the people understand exactly what I'm talking about. Here you have Muhammad, if he existed, Prophet of Islam, Rashidun, if they existed, because this is highly doubted. We do not have any archaeological evidence for these guys. The Umayyads, they existed.
Rashidun is, sorry for the people who doesn't know this term, it's
Yeah,
Khulafai Rashidin, as you might have heard, and that's why he said even if they existed. So these are the four caliphs, and so yeah, so you need to translate the terminologies which are pure Arabic for the people who doesn't know.
yeah. This would be people. They know this in English as the four rightly guided caliphs. This is how they know it in English. But these people, their existence is actually debated. We do not know if they existed. And then you have the Umayyads, the Umayyad Caliphate, and then you have the Abbasids. So all other Quran translators, they used Abbasid material and beyond. So they used Ibn Kathir, they used Al Tabari, which is from Tabaristan, from the Abbasid reign. They used Sirah of Muhammad, also written during the Abbasid reign. Nothing from the Umayyads. It's because there is no material from the Umayyads. But with my translation, you might be actually close to this part. You might be close to Muhammad if he existed and the Umayyads. You see?
That's what you are saying, right?
Yeah.
uh Based on what I would say, your translation is, what if the Quran was there before Muhammad?
Yeah, this is a possibility.
Right, so I would put another thing before Muhammad and make your arrow go all the way there, because you know some part of Surah 9 we have pages which dates all the way back to 540 AD. Muhammad wasn't even born then. You know what I mean?
Yes. But I'm talking linguistically because Arabic is not so ancient. So if we put Arabic just in this time frame, then my rendition of the Quran would be in this range. I'm not talking about where the stories came from, because then you will have to skip the Arabic language and go back to Syriac, Aramaic, Hebrew, and all this stuff. You see?
All right, makes sense.
Now, you won't realize how much deception there is in these translations. I'm not talking, of course, about Robert or Osama. I'm talking about all other translations, which mostly are Muslim translations. Because every single word in my translation is different than what you are used to. Now, here are a list of things or words or concepts not found in my translation: revelation, book, people of the book, sent down, unseen, disbelievers, infidels, battle of Badr, Yathrib, wife, husband, pair, everlasting, abrogation, hell, hellfire, missiles, forbidden, trial, test, good news, crucify, I seek refuge, lawful, unlawful, sedition, private parts, terror, booty, spoils of war, and fight. These words are not in my translation.
Okay,
What
okay,
do you
okay.
think?
No, no, that doesn't even make sense. So what is Wahi then?
Wahy.
Yeah.
Wahy is signaling. This is not
Huh?
revelation. Revelation would be kashf.
Okay, then what is book? Al Kitab, the book Kitab. Everybody,
Well,
the
Allah was not a librarian. Book is
I
just
don't
a writing. This is just a writing. It could be a piece of paper.
know. That's there's another word for that. What's the word for scripture in the Quran? Uh,
There is no word scripture in the Quran.
okay, but book Al Kitab, the book. It's a very common Arabic word. Kitab. Al is the, Kitab is book. So
This is what we are used to today. Today we say book because we have books. But back in the day, when you say kataba, he wrote. Kitab is something that is written. It could be a letter. It could be just a piece of paper. There were no papers, of course. It could be just something written on a parchment as big as your palm. This is kataba. Kitab is just a writing. This is something very generic. This is not a book like you have today.
Oh. So how did you translate the word kitab then?
Writing. Writing as a noun.
Oh.
Because even in the Quran, you will find that these very bad translations in uh, in some verses they say utiya kitabu biyamini, he was given his record by his right hand. Now it's record, it's not a book, and of course you know this.
So alam taral lazina utu wa utu nasiban minal kitaba yad'una ilal kitabillah. So how will you actually do that? Yad'una ilal kitabillah. So if it is not the kitab of Allah, then how would you translate it? Like the
It is
writing
the
of Allah?
writing. It is
So Allah
something that's
writes?
written. That's what the Quran is saying. You know why? Because it says in this very long verse, I think this is the final verse in Surah 2, it says فَلْيَكْتُبْ كَاتِب. So and they say let a scribe write. Yeah, no problem, but it's like let a writer write it down. So the act of writing.
Oh. Okay.
So you see how I am giving you very quick responses just from my memory. Why? Because I created my own concordance. I have done my homework. I have spent a lot of time with every word, sometimes even dreaming about words and waking up just to dig even further as to exactly what a certain word means.
So your
You see?
translation is like the Muhammad's dreams. But one more. The fight, the last word.
Yeah,
Qatl
yeah,
or kutil. Like the diacritical mark makes changes qatl to kutil or kutil to qatl to make it fight and kill. So
yeah.
how do you translate the word qatl?
Well, when you say fight, it means that you didn't put a lot of time to look into the synonyms because fight would be araka, ma'raka. Ma'raka is fighting, but qatala would be combat. This is more violent. It is combat in order to kill. So you say, for example, in
Yeah,
English,
fight to kill. I understand. That's a fight to kill. But
yeah,
then
it's combat.
combat is harb.
No, no, harb is war.
War is combat, right? What's the difference between a combat and war then?
Combat, it could like kung fu. You could use martial arts. You could use weapons. You could use anything. This is not war. This is combat. It could be between two people. This is what the Quran is saying. Qital. Even in Arabic, when we say qital, you could say, I am going to train for qital, meaning I'm gonna
Killing.
train for combat. Yes, combat in
Ah.
order to kill. I'm not saying it's just without the intent of killing because it has qatala in it. So combat your enemy till you kill him. But combat is a better word than fight.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting.
Fight is more
Okay.
mellow. Fight is cooler, calmer than combat. This is not the word that the Quran is using.
Okay. Then let's talk about terror. Ru'b. Ru'b is always translated as terror. How can you
Yeah.
say there is no terror in the Quran? Because the word ru'b, even in the Lisan al Arabiya, lexicon of Arabia, translates it as terror.
Well, you see, there are multiple layers of fear. I'm not saying that Ru'b is not terror. I'm saying this is not the perfect word. In my translation, it would be horror. Horror is better fitting than terror. You see, there are multiple layers and uh, multiple layers of fear, and the Quranic author knows that. It says horror.
Ah, okay, like the horror movie. Okay, all right.
Exactly.
Let's go
Even in
back. Let's go
Yeah,
back.
even in Arabic we
Scripture,
say horror movie,
scripture.
film رعب.
Scripture.
Scripture.
Suhuf.
Where is
Suhuf
scripture here?
Ibrahim wa Musa. The Suhuf of Ibrahim and Musa.
Yeah.
Swad Ha Fe. So that's scripture. How will you change Suhuf to something else?
Well, what does تصحيف or تصحف mean? It means
To
turning
put it down.
pages.
Hmm?
No, it means turning the page. So Sahaf Ibrahim are the pages of Ibrahim.
Pages of Ibrahim.
Yeah. So this would be pages from a book.
La 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 la. That's interesting. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next page. I'm sorry for all these questions.
Yeah, let's go to Sahaf.
Oh, yes. The next Suhuf.
Yeah. So a major shift. You see, with Robert Spencer, did Muhammad exist? Actually, this book is the one which started me on this journey to look into Islam from outside sources. I say there is a before and an after. Before this book and after this book. Just one question: did Muhammad exist? And no one can definitively answer this question. We just have to go to criteria of embarrassment and stuff like this. And of course, it's very weird that Muslims use this criteria today. It's acceptable with Jesus because he is very far in time, but with Muhammad, you could actually have his sandals or his watches is just 1,400 years earlier. But anyhow,
But
Hajarism,
at the same
yeah,
time, when we talk about Jesus, it's not just the criteria of embarrassment that can prove him, it's the other literature which are written against him proves him. So,
exactly,
of the same time, like the Romans writing it, the Jews writing it, like the people writing who are against him writing it. The problem with Islam is all the scriptures of Islam are written much later, number one. Number two, during that time of Muhammad, for almost 100 years, nobody even against him wrote anything. For example, Jews are writing so much about Jesus that he's not our Messiah, and he was a rebel, and all the abusive language that the Jews used in Talmud as well proves that there was a person like Jesus there. Whereas Muhammad, in one single battle of Banu Qurayza, finished all the seven tribes of Jews, and their kids were taken captive, and their women were taken for, according to Islamic narratives, for slave. Yet, you will not find a single Jewish writer stating that. Not a single one. So you're telling me nobody escaped? None of them to write it down? That's just simply impossible. So when we look at the finding Muhammad, it's like it's worse than finding Nemo. You know the children's gameplay Finding Nemo.
yes,
Yeah, when you're finding Nemo, you can still find Nemo somewhere. The problem is when you're finding Muhammad, is just you just can't find it. It's nowhere to be found. It's it's just not there. So there's a lot of things over there. Like the only evidence that Muslims come up with is the criteria of embarrassment. But my question is it embarrassing at that time when it was being said? You know, the embarrassing things are not embarrassing at a certain time. For example, let me give you the latest example. Being a gay was an embarrassing thing just 100 years ago, even in the West. Now, gays would embarrass you if you will say, "Hey, you gay?" They embarrass you. So
yes,
the statement of the criteria of embarrassment which is attached with Muhammad doesn't even make sense, because at that particular time that might not be embarrassing.
exactly. But also, I would ask a much simpler question. With Jesus, where did he die? This is a question. And I want you to get the answer from outside of the Gospels only. and you will never find anyone saying anything other than Jerusalem. But with Muhammad, where did he die? Do you know where all the outside sources say he died?
There is no source.
Well, I'm talking about some of the very few sources which may be mentioning him. They are talking about a
Ah, the
guy.
one, the one, the one which is written by Umayyads before Abbasian. Muhammad died all the way up north near Jerusalem. There is a city, I forgot the name of it.
Exactly. So even the outside narrative doesn't say where did this guy die. Even when it mentions it, it puts him in a very different place, in a very wrong place. And Muslims, they use the Doctrina Jacobi. They say this is Muhammad. Well, now we have evidence of the actual guy who was Nehemiah bin Hushail, and he was the Jewish exilarch. So this is another blow to the Islamic history, but this is just another point, you see.
Yep, and it was all the way up north. So the problem is, and there was, anyhow, the discussion will go sidetrack. So let's come back to your PowerPoint presentation because there's another Muhammad down south near Sana where you found this Quran called Sana manuscript. Next to the Sana, there was another attack happened in a Kaaba because there were so many Kaabas. Even in the Sunnah literature talks about so many Kaabas where Abraha actually attacked. There was a guy, Abraha, down south in Sana, near Sana, just 110 kilometers away from there, and there was an attack of elephants down south. Now the problem is Quran mentions it in Makkah, and elephants cannot even travel all the way from Iran over there because of the sand. It's a huge desert. Elephants needs a lot of water and a lot of grass or greenery to eat and a lot of water to cool down their bodies. They just simply cannot travel. So there are like at least three Muhammads. None of them were in Makkah or Medina. The problem is none of them were in Makkah or Medina. That's how
Yeah,
crazy it is.
yeah. You said one word that I just don't want to let it go. You said the Quran mentioned the story of the elephant in Mecca. No, it doesn't. It just says, "Have you seen what happened with the people of the elephant?" And it mentions one elephant in the singular. And this story now it can be traced to the Seleucids, which were again far north, and they were against the Jews. You see, so you can trace this Quranic tradition far north, and again, it has nothing to do with Islam. You see,
Okay. So elephants are single elephant. Man, you're killing my whole Quranic knowledge that I had attained in my life. That's please don't do that.
but I think the people they are enjoying this.
I hope so. Hey guys, are you enjoying it? If you are enjoying it so far, give me a one. And if you are not enjoying it, give me a five. Let's see. Please continue. They are 15 seconds behind us.
Okay, so a major shift you have Robert Spencer. Did Muhammad exist? There is a before and an after. This is a book that you can't just bypass. Also, with Hajarism, Making of the Islamic World, Patricia Crone and Michael Cook, a before and an after. Because this book really opened the gaping hole that we have today about the actual first Muslims. They were called Hajirenes, they were called Ishmaelites, Saracens, never called Muslims. A very important book.
Awesome. So before you continue to the next slide, everyone said one, except for one guy. He's like, I'm gonna use a new pronoun. Nine. Come on, man. The option was one and five. How can you send nine? Like, boom. Don't start a new pronoun in the live chat. So thank you. Everyone is loving and enjoying your presentation. Please, sir, continue.
Now, I personally foresee an era where there will be a before this translation and an after. And this is not because I think I'm special, it's because this translation is going to force people to take a new perspective because it's going to debunk a lot of the standard Islamic narrative to a point where you can't ignore it. Like, of course, any da'wah guy is gonna ignore it as if it never existed. But with time, people are gonna discuss this because a lot of things you can't just ignore in this translation. Now, a question would be, what will you lose if you don't get my translation? Not getting my Quran translation actually will cost you a lot of things. One, you will never be able to know the very literal meaning of Quranic words. Two, you will have to succumb to lies in all other Quran translations. Three, you will remain in the cage of the sin standard Islamic narrative. So you will always see everything by the eyes of Al Tabari, Al Qurtubi, Bukhari, these people. Four, you will never access the pre Abbasid Caliphate understanding of the Quran. I'm not saying I have the complete answer, but I'm much closer. So, on one level, I don't want you to miss out, and on another level, I don't want you to be fooled. You see, Adam?
I definitely see. So there is a Islamic narrative, and then there is this translation. I fully see that.
So, how important is this project for you as a person? And this is for the viewer. Let me ask you, how important is it for you to understand the hidden layer of the Quran and get closer to cracking the code of Islam? How important is it for you, if you are a Christian, most of our viewers are Christian, to preach to Muslims using this hidden linguistic Quranic layer? How important is it for you in general to spread such truth all over the internet? So, are you sharing the videos? Are you liking all of this stuff?
Absolutely. Please like and share. And by the way, my viewers are from everywhere. You'll find Christians, atheists, agnostics, Hindus, and everybody here. So I have a very diverse kind of viewership. So I need to correct your statement over there.
Yeah, I said if you are a Christian, for the Christians listening, you see?
Hmm.
So this is just for the Christians listening. I know that even on my channel, of course, I have almost everybody, you see? Okay, Adam?
Oh, yes, yes, I'm okay. I thought, I'm sorry. I was like, you're finishing your statement. Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me tell you that this is actually the first ex Muslim translation of the Quran. This is the
Woohoo!
Yeah, so I looked all over the internet and I didn't find it. So this is the first ex-Muslim translation of the Quran. If you think that's cool, then please hit the like button.
I love the statement, the first ex-Muslim translation of the Quran. I just love you have to name your translation as the first ex-Muslim translation. You have to write it somewhere on the main title page, down somewhere as some footnote or something. It has to be there, man. It has to be there.
Yeah, and it has to be on Wikipedia. If someone works in Wikipedia or knows how to add that, it has to be there in a section by itself.
Yeah, your title needs to show that as well. The first ex-Muslim translation of the Quran. Read it with pride, all the ex-Muslims,
Yeah.
without the pride flag.
Yeah. So now I have four products for the people. But just to be clear, my translation is digital only. There are no physical copies. And people, they keep asking me, but the answer is that it has to do with my personal safety, so this is not the right decision at this stage. You have an English only version, a PDF, and it looks like this. And you have a Kindle version, and it looks like this. You have also Arabic plus English, PDF, and it looks like this. You have the Arabic on the right, the English on the left, and you have the Kindle Arabic on the right, English on the left. And this was very tiring for me to create all of this, especially this Kindle one. It was horrible.
Now, before you continue, you have to tell everyone how to get the Kindle version and how to get the PDF version and how to get the paper copy version if there is any?
Yeah, that's in the next slide.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was one step ahead. I am so sorry.
Yeah. So the offers, I actually have two offers, one with a very low price, one with a high price. Who is the light version for, which is the low price? This one is for the casual viewers. These are the silent majority. Those are the ones who never comment on our videos, but they're always there. The price of this product is equal to two of your regular coffees. It's one product, it's actually the complete English only version PDF, but with some limits. These are the limits is that you have here uh, this watermark, and it can't be printed and it can't be highlighted. And it's limited for 1,000 people only, meaning if it's out, then it's out. So hurry up if you want this one. This is the light version, the cheaper version. Okay.
Got it.
Now, what about the complete package? This is the more expensive one. This one is for my warriors who believe in the cause. This offer is not for the casual viewers. You will be funding much bigger projects which you never thought possible. That's the covenant I will be having with you, the people. So you will have the entirety, all the four products, Arabic plus English and the English only, PDF and Kindle, four products. So as you can see here, Adam, you have the light version, the cheaper one, English only PDF, and you will lose all of this. With the complete package, you have everything plus a digital certificate that I actually made myself for the person who's gonna get this one, the complete package.
Oh, nice.
You have anything to say? Because I hear myself a lot now.
No, nice, nice, nice. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. So how can somebody go somewhere to see all of these versions?
Well, this is the next slide.
Oh man,
How
I'm
to,
just one step ahead.
yeah. So, how to download the Murad translation? Well, the link is in the description box, of course. No registration required, no credit card fees. I take care of that for you. So, of course, you can use debit or credit, Apple Pay, and Google Pay. Also, local currency is available. The Indian currency is available, the euro, the Australian dollar, all of this stuff is available.
You
The whole
mean
thing, yeah,
this link over here in the live chat right now? Let me just show it to you on screen as well. Are you talking about this link?
hold on, let me check. The one I sent you.
It is on screen right now. It's in the description, the first link in the
Yes, sir.
description of the video.
Yes,
It is
sir.
the first link in the description of this video, as well as I just put it in the live chat for everyone to go and get it. You know, just go and get it.
So the whole thing actually
And
takes.
somebody just bought your package. There you go. Let me just go and buy the entire package. There you go. One of our viewer just bought your entire package. By the way, EasyPay Global, before we continue, is one of our Indian brother who has created an app which you can use to transfer money from any location of the world to any location of the world. It will automatically put money into a dollar account. Rather, it will actually create a dollar account in when you make a it will create an international dollar account. And once this dollar account is created, you can transfer your money from one location to another in split seconds. It is connected with over 100 countries of the world, simultaneously fast transfer, same day, same minute kind of a transfer. You don't even have to wait for 3 days. Very fast, very awesome. So go get Easy Pay app, make your account, and the account making takes a couple of days. Obviously they have to verify you. It's a bank account that will be created, and it's an international bank account that it will be created, and then by using that you can transfer the money anywhere you want to. So this is Easy Pay Global. He is our listener as well, and he is the head of this company as well. So thank you, Easy Pay Global, for giving everyone a fast way to transfer money. With that being said, let's come back to our presentation. This is Saint Murad's translation download link where you can go and get whatever type of package you would like to get. Yes.
Okay, so the whole thing takes 4 seconds to complete. Actually, me and my friend we tested it from the website Buy Me a Coffee. Plus, you can easily download it to your phone, so you do not need a laptop or a desktop.
Oh,
So,
you can actually
yeah,
see it in your phone as well, and it will be scaled to a phone level.
yeah. So the person, he could just download it to his phone, then he could just transfer it to the laptop or desktop or whatever he likes. You see?
Awesome.
Also, it is available on my Patreon. If people prefer Patreon, they could just get it there.
Oh man,
No
give me the link of
problem.
the Patreon.
I just prefer to leave it at that because Patreon requires registration, so it's much easier. This link that I gave you now, you see?
Okay. So if anybody is your Patreon subscriber already, they can get it from Patreon as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's if someone is on my Patreon. Now, I will eventually reply to every single comment from the people who downloaded my translation. Also, you could inbox me any questions you have. It just might take me a while because a lot of people are messaging me. So take advantage of that. Now, I want to go to a very important disclaimer. This Quran translation assumes the Quran to be 100% Arabic. It does not include the Aramaic reading of the Quran. It is sort of a let's give Arabic its best shot. So, this is the best shot for Arabic. A complete Aramaic reading of the Quran would be an entirely different project with an entirely different concordance built from scratch. Depending on how people will respond to my comment, it might be a separate project in the future. An
But
Aramaic, yeah,
go back. So Aramaic will be limited to a very small number of people who speaks Aramaic. There are not a lot of people who speaks Aramaic at this time in the world. So why would you write a complete Aramaic reading of the Quran? Like what's the motive behind this? I want to understand your motive and your statement behind this sentence and this mindset.
you see, the Quran, when you read it, it doesn't make sense, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Mostly it's because the grammar is not Arabic. It's not just because the writer is crazy, it's because the grammar is not Arabic. So the whole syntax is Aramaic. Now, to crack the Quran, you will have to go back to this mindset, which is totally Aramaic. Now, I am not the guy to do this. I am not qualified, but I will be consulting with real experts to create this next project, this next translation, if I actually take the decision to do it. You see?
Ah, interesting. But let me go back to another thing. Uh, 2 years ago, you made a video where you showed everyone the meaning of Alif Lam Mim from Aramaic, Alam. In your current translation, you did not translate it that word. Why?
Well, this translation, as I'm saying here, it assumes the Quran to be 100% Arabic. So in Arabic, there is nothing called alim or alam. It's just not there. That's one way of looking at it. Another thing is that alim, meaning in Aramaic, it is an opinion. It is not 100% correct. It is just an opinion It is a smart guess. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's an educated guess, but still, I can't tell the people 100% that alim is this Aramaic word. It needs further digging, and this digging might be done in a future Quran translation other than this one that I'm offering the people. You see?
Hmm. Interesting, interesting. So let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
One of the longest verse of the Quran, Ayatul Kursi, the verse of Kursi. It
Yeah.
says, Allahu la ilaha illa huwal hayyul qayyum. Your translation says, Allah, no deity except He, the living, the question mark, question mark. So you are not translating qayyum? Like, why? Because this is a very common word.
What's qayyum in Arabic?
Everyone translated it. Sustainer.
That's just a lie. Qayyum is not Arabic. Even the way you say it, qayyum, it's not Arabic. This is Aramaic. That's why I do not have it, and it's not in the dictionary. And it has to come from standing straight.
Huh?
قائم, قائم is straight. قائم is straight. So qayyum is someone, if I translate it in Arabic, it would be someone who continuously straightens. Of course, this is a joke because this is not Arabic. Actually, in Aramaic, it could mean something like the compassionate, al qayyum.
Oh.
So you see, there are multiple layers. It's like an onion. This
So
onion, yeah.
then there is another one. Wala yu'iduhu hifzuhuma wa huwal alayyul azim. You again missed the word.
Yes,
Yu'iduhu.
Ya'uduhu is. What is Ya'uduhu? You tell me, what's Ya'uduhu? They are just
Everyone
guessing.
knows.
What
Okay.
is it?
He
What's
like
what's the verb? Let's have the
knotting.
verb in Arabic.
Wadud? No.
No, the verb for
Wadu?
Ya'ud.
I don't know.
So they are just guessing. They say, well, nothing prevents him, nothing thwarts him. They're just guessing. This is not Arabic.
Mine. Even the longest, most spoken verse of the Quran, you have three words which doesn't make are not even Arabic and they are translating it with guesswork.
Of course, 100%.
That is bad. So one of the issue that I saw in your basic English translation of the Quran, the question mark does not tells which Arabic word is question mark. So if you are not a person who who can easily correlate, you will not know that. So is there a translation where the question mark actually says the Arabic word?
No, but I have the Arabic and the English side by side. So if someone knows Arabic, then he will easily pinpoint what this word is. But to write in English, يَؤُودُهُ, Y-A-O-D-I, to romanize it like this is kind of stupid, and it will ruin the context even further. That's why I didn't include it. It's either you know Arabic and you're gonna read this word in Arabic, or it's just not a good idea. I left this for the future project, if I will make it, to look at this layer of onion. This is the heart of the onion, these words. You see?
Yeah, then there are a lot. There are so many.
Yeah, but remember that a lot of them are also duplicates. Like, don't assume that there are a lot of words that are original. Maybe this is the same word, but I didn't crack it neither here or there or there or there.
And I agree, but there are 1027 question marks in your Quran translation, and which
Yeah,
is
but
pretty
uh,
crazy.
but it's not that I was lazy or that I didn't want to do it or that I do not have the knowledge. It's because it is this way. It is this bad. Remember, fifth of the Quran is not comprehensible. How do you have Quran translations that are 100% complete as if there is no problem? Of course, there is a huge problem. But people, they just translate these words using guessing because they don't want the public to ridicule their translation and say that it has a lot of missing words. No, of course, my translation has missing words because they do not have any footing, they do not have any root in the Arabic dictionary. You see?
Oh. So one of the surah, Al-Haqqa, you never translated the word. Surah Al-Haqqa, chapter number 69.
What is Al Haqq?
Isn't it from Haqq, the truth? Haqqa?
So, what is the Haqq, the thing that gives the truth? This word is weird. This is not Arabic. You can never tell someone Al Haqq.
But
Even
there's just one alif, which is additional. Otherwise, if you connect the ha with the kaf without the alif, so then it might be the truth or haq.
the whole
Like
thing, the whole
it's just
thing
so
is weird.
silly. I agree. I agree, and you are doing that. You're doing a good justice with it, and that's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm showing to the people right now. Because without even seeing the Quran translation that you have written, I'm just giving them a synopsis that how uh, to the point your translations are, where a lot of things which doesn't have any Arabic meaning were left as is, and this is what it is, and this is how it should be, I think. And for example, Surah Taha, they will translate it as uh, Taha, Taha, without any giving the meaning. You didn't even translate it because nobody knows what the translation is. So kind of makes sense, but why did you not just wrote it as Taha with a bracket saying nobody knows the meaning, kind of a thing?
Well, because you are gonna have it right with the names. Because remember, if you just say that Taha is a name, then you made the mistake of the sin standard narrative. Taha is just words like Alif Lam Mim. It is not the name of Muhammad and it doesn't have a meaning. It might be Ta and He, and they are connected, but each letter means something. So I have to give the reader the freedom to choose. He has to know that this is something that's problematic. If I solve it for him, it's like I am treating him like a child. He is not a child, he is an adult. He should know that this is problematic. Then he could dig further. You see?
Makes sense, makes sense. And one another problem where I saw it, chapter number 3, Al Imran. Al is lineage or family. You said kinfolk.
Mm.
Why would you choose this word, which kind of have a similar meaning? Yes, I agree. But why would you choose this word rather than family or lineage or uh, children?
Well, I definitely got this from الفروق اللغوية للعسكري. So this is the source I showed in the beginning of the presentation. It talks exactly about the difference between آل and عائلة and all of this stuff. Off the top of my head, I can't really give you the answer because I don't remember. But definitely, there is a difference between kin and family member and all of this stuff. I looked deeply into it and then I came out with this conclusion. El is kinfolk or kin more than family. Family is more like عائلة in Arabic, which is not perfect for uh, for this word.
Hmm. Okay. Now let's go to Falak. Falak is the daybreak or the sky or falak, like the when we look at the falak, like we use this word in Arabic and in Urdu as well. Falak, look at the falak. This is like when it's the falak where you see towards the sky kind of a thing. So why would you not translate this word?
Well, this word is mentioned, I remember, 3 times in the Quran, and it means something like separate. But this word falaq, just by itself, and even falaqa and faliq, it is not Arabic. It means separate. It doesn't. It means something like separate. So it's close. It's a synonym, but it is not Arabic. And just saying that falaq means something that you see in the sky, this is one of the guesses that people just satisfied themselves by throughout the ages. Falaq, we never say falaq when we look at the sky. If you do in Urdu, it's because you got used to it years and years from the sin standard Islamic narrative. But falaq, it just means something that separates. Faliq al-hab wa nawa in the Quran, it's he who separates the date from the date, from that the nucleus. So it's just separation. What kind of separation? It could be the separation of the Red Sea for Moses. You see, this is how different it is.
Oh, so call a'udhu bi rabbi farlak. So I seek refuge in the Lord of separation.
Yes.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting.
Remember,
Interesting.
the Quran, I found that it has a lot of incantations because the word a'udhu, it means incantation. So this is like magic spells. This is like Harry Potter. So that's why the Quran, when it has these very few letters in the beginning, it is the letters of an incantation, like casting a magic spell. You see? This is the actual secret of it all.
All right. So now let's go back to my initial statement because I now want to justify my initial statement. So when I said there is 1,000 question marks in your Quran translation, let me tell the people, Surah Falak has one, two, three, four question marks just because the word Falak in Surah Falak is used 4 times. So in reality, when we look at these question marks as the actual words, they are what? Maybe 70, 80, 90 words, but they are used so many times and so often. And I have been saying that to a lot of Muslims in the past as well. The literature that is the words of the Quran are very few. Quran is written in such a primitive Arabic language where the words you did not have enough words. So when languages develop and evolve, humans tend to create more and more and more and more words. When the language is in its early stages, there are foreign words because the language, the people who came to this area came from somewhere else. So they would use this language, but then they would use their own words from their own language with a slight touch of pronunciation of that culture and that area. So Quran itself has very little amount of vocabulary in it, and a lot of words has been used multiple times, and those words are actually not part of Arabic itself, which is a dilemma for the Quran, for the people who says that this Quran is written in a miraculous language, because the language wasn't even developed at that time. And there are so many foreign words in the Quran which were made part of the dictionary much later, and nobody knows the true meaning of it. And that is why they guesswork for the meaning. And if you want to see the guesswork of the meaning, which is a sin narrative, obviously, you have to go and look it into Tibri and Qurtubi, and you'll see the guessworks, because these two writers actually gives you all the guessworks of that particular time. This means this because of this, and this means this because of this, and they'll give you 20 different meanings of that. For example, ahad, qul huwallahu ahad. I don't know if you have that. Let me just see what you translated the word ahad into. You did not. That makes sense. Thank you. You did not translate that, so that actually makes sense. Why? Because the word ahad actually has no meaning. quite frankly. There is no meaning for the word ahad. There couldn't be any. It's a foreign word. And perfect. I love it. I love the way you translated it. Because even the Muslim scholars don't know these meaning, and they're just selecting one based on their narrative.
Yeah, they just say ahad means one, but this is deception. If I put it as one, say that Allah is one, this is deception because the word is actually Hebrew and it means unity. Say that Allah is unity. This is in Hebrew. And even it continues in Hebrew. Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad. Smad in Hebrew means the binded, the undivided. You see? So this is the same word which is used in the Torah. Yeah, Ibrahim, I think, ilahuka ahad. So
Yeah,
your,
Sama Yisrailu, Yahweh Elohino, Yahweh Ahad.
yes,
Say, Israel, Lord your God is Ahad. And if you literally translate it, Sama Yisrailu, listen, O Israel, Yahweh Elohinu, who is Elohim, who is guards. Elohim is plurality of godhood. Elohinu guards. Yahweh Ahad, that Yahweh is unified into one. He's unified into one, not one. So, the English translators usually will say, O Israel, your God, Lord, your God is one. But the literal translation will be a little different. It will be Yahweh, who is God's, in is unified. That's how the uh, literal word by word translation will come into being.
exactly. So you see, if I say Qul huwa Allahu ahad means Allah is one, it means I am making a very big deception. I am very much fooling the English speaking audience. That's why I had to leave it this way, and maybe in the future we will check what this word means exactly in foreign languages, which are, of course, present in the Quran.
Makes sense. That definitely makes sense. I think this is a very good translation, quite frankly, the way you put it up.
Thank you for that. I'm happy that you are endorsing this work.
I'm loving it, not just endorsing it. Or maybe endorse actually means that. So fair enough. Both ways. There you go, guys. This is the link in the live chat once again. The link to get the translation is in the description of the video as well. And I'm putting up in the comments, in the live comments as well for each and every one of you. Yes, Murad, please continue.
Now, an Aramaic reading of the Quran can't come into existence without this work being established first. A completely new Aramaic concordance has to be built upon a strong Arabic concordance. It is sort of you can't bench press real heavy unless you advance the lighter weights first. Can you bench press this before going through this? This is the situation. You see? Because people tell me, Murad, why don't you just crack these words right away? I can't. I can't. I just can't. You see? Again, do we need another Quran translation? Let me ask you, do you actually have a Quran translation? What you have is a mere shadow of it. You see on the left, this is the Mona Lisa. It is like calling this the Mona Lisa.
No, they
Do
are
we
both
need
Mona
an
Lisa.
yeah. Do we need another translation? Yes, you do because you don't have one. Unless you are satisfied by this being the original Mona Lisa. What do you
I
think?
like this better than the original Mona Lisa. It's like a honeybee Mona Lisa. I like it. She's sexy even.
Yeah, that's more
She's,
liberal.
yeah,
She
baby.
identifies as a bee. Oh, and by the way, if you know of any Quran translation that is ultra literal, has no brackets, and is based on linguistics only and not the sin, then you don't need my translation. But if you don't know of any, then back to square one. You have the light edition, you have the complete package. You choose what fits you most. Download whenever you like, but believe me, you will be missing out on a lot of fun reading this masterpiece. And now I finished my presentation.
And here we go. Thank you so much, Saint Murad. It was a lovely presentation. Now, I think when people now will read the Quran translation, they have a context, they have a viewpoint, because in your translation you define the viewpoint in a way, but I think it's better to, you know, listen from you in a presentation form. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I read your translation, uh, not cover to cover yet, but some very basic surahs and some basic things to go through, like the important verses and important surahs, which I think is important to when I'm discussing with the Muslims, and I liked it. I really enjoyed reading to it, and that's why I asked you some specific questions which could give the viewers some context, and that is why I wanted to put out the context in a way. So if anybody has a question, now is the time to raise. Hussein Mashni, why don't you join, man? Why don't you join? Let me send you the link. All right, Hussein Mashni, he has a question. He is an ex-Muslim. He knows Arabic as well. And Hussein, you have the link in DM, so get it and join in if you can. And if anybody has a question, now is the time to shoot, because Saint Murad has done, according to me, a very impressive work. It's a hugely impressive work, and you won't find it very easily everywhere. You need to understand that it's different. Yes, you will either hate it or you will love it. It's up to you. It depends on how do you want to see it. How do you see something? For me, it's a new way to look at Quran. And like I gave the example before, when you do something which is not the normal standard norm, you will either be hated or loved. There is no middle way. There is no middle way. Nobody during the time of Isaac Newton would say to Newton, ah, okay. No, they either hated him or they loved him. Same is the case with this Quran translation, because now you are telling people who are reading a narrative from the last 1200 years, leave the narrative, go to the lisan, check the words as the words are. So it's a very different way and a very different approach. So you will either be hated or loved. There is nothing else in the middle. All right. If anybody has a question, they can tag me, and so that I will be able to read your question. In the meantime, there are two super chats. Let me take that. One is from EasyPeer Global with a super sticker, and the other one is from him as well. And he said, let me buy the entire package. Thank you so very much. Steve Hussein Mashni had a question. I don't know if he can join in or not. Hussein, if you can't join in, you can send it in the live comment. And let me see. What is this? How? What? Okay. Quran should be understood with Rosalind's Fragg's theory of deception to make a sense of both reference and sense. Murad, what would you say?
I have no idea about this theory, so maybe he could give us just a synopsis.
There you go. Hussein said, Aram, I wanted to ask about the meaning of kiss. What is that?
قاصرات
Kiss
الطرف.
kasrat tarf. All right.
Okay, I will answer this question, Adam, but there is something that I want to tell you. There is this guy in the chat. He is called Mulhid al Islam, and he says that Murad doesn't know Alif, Beth, and all of this stuff. But I want to ask this guy, what does his name mean? He keeps telling me what's the difference and all this stuff. Tell me, what does your name mean? Because if you don't, then I will tell the people what your name means, because it's very funny when you realize it. You see? Yeah. Do you know what his name means? Mulhid al Islam?
Mulhid is atheist.
Atheist. So his name
Atheist
means,
al-Islam. Atheist of Islam?
yes, the atheist of Al Islam. So this guy is a joke. No questions from you, Mulhid al Islam, till you change your name. All right?
No, but like he is a a very different guy. He is a apostate basically. So let him slide. Let him slide.
Okay. Uh, so here, Hussein Mashni, I know him and I salute him because I know him from Father Zachariah program. So I know this man from years back. He is asking, what does قصرات الطرف mean? Well, you see, in Arabic, there is a big problem with such a word. But if you look at it from Aramaic perspective, al-tarf would be the extremity of a thing. So the tip. So you have your hand and you have the fingertip. Qasirat would be something that's short, that shortens. So it's something that shortens its tip. And that would be the trees which are in the garden. So the Quran keeps talking about the garden, as you know, which is supposedly at the afterlife. You will have all the fruits of every kind, all of this stuff, and then you will have trees that shortens its extremity till it goes to you, then you can grab and pick the fruit yourself. This is from an Aramaic understanding, but from an Islamic understanding, it would be uh, sexy women who maybe uh, have something to do with their eyes. Their eyes are sexy. It's something that I don't know. It's something that comes from the sin. So it would be much better to ask CP if you want the sin meaning of this
But
word.
I have another question here. Kasrat is also used in Arabic, which means doing something many times, again and again. So if you are doing an exercise with kasrat, you are doing reading with kasrat. So you are doing it again and again in a exercising way. Isn't that
Yeah,
so?
but no, this is not the same in Arabic because this would be qaf sad re, but the one you're talking about would be kaf thi re. It just
Mm.
sounds the same to you in English, but this is two very different alphabets in Arabic, what you're saying.
Ah, yeah, okay, makes sense. All right, so Hussein first said, yes, join me sometime on my channel too. You know his channel. His channel is Hussein Mashni as well. And then Hussein Mashni said, does it have to do with little girls? In the sin narrative,
In
maybe.
the sin narrative, yes.
So little edges of the trees or edges of the girls, so little girls. But Hussein, that's the whole thing. When you look at Quran, like you are here since the very beginning, he is not even translating it according to the sin narrative. He's translating the Quran in a very, very different narrative, which is looking at the Arabics of the Quran. So yes, Hussein, do invite him. You're gonna have some fun, I know. That's why I said join in. It would have been fun to join in as well. And what else? Let me see if there is another one. There you go. He said Russell's theory of this description analytically tries to understand the meaning of the proper nouns that do not really exist, like internationally, of the words like Pegasus does not exist intentionally.
Yeah. Well, I didn't look into it as much as you would like me to, but let me tell you, I'm gonna get very close to what you're saying. The word Pegasus doesn't exist. Well, in Arabic, there are words that are proper nouns that do not exist. You know, Talut and Jalut. It's translated always, Adam, as David and Goliath.
Goliath, yes.
I yeah, I left it as Talut and Jalut because the English speaking audience do not know that the identity of these two guys is still debated. Just saying David and Goliath, you made a step towards the Bible that is not real. So that's why I have Mary as Maryam, because it's Maryam all over the Quran, so that they know that there is the mistake that the Quran, when it conflated the two Marys together, this is important, you see. So I kept the proper names the way they are, so that the people they could
Yeah,
further
I
dig.
don't know
Yeah.
why Quran actually does that. Like, quite frankly, why would you change the names? Like, your name, let's say your name is Asad, right? When you go to UK, your name will not change to Lion suddenly. It will remain Asad,
Mm.
right? So why would Quran change and translineate the meaning wise name? That's just so stupid. Why would somebody do that?
Exactly. It's to fool the West because they want to hide themselves so that they fool new Muslims. That's one level. But let me tell you something else. Um, the Quran, it mentions multiple ways or multiple names for a single person. So it calls Isa, or it could say Ibn Maryam. And I know also why the Quran corrupts a name. You know why? I think you know.
No, no, please tell me.
It's for the rhymes. Talut and Jalut.
Ah. By the way, this is one of them is Saul, and the one of them is like it's yeah, right. It just makes so rhythmical. Talut, Jalut, Talut, Jalut. That is gonna make sense. Okay, makes sense.
The
But then,
Quranic author does all he can. He breaks all the rules just for the words to rhyme. This is the reality of the situation.
hmm, interesting, interesting. So how about Isa? How did Yeshua becomes Isa?
This is one of the most difficult ones that I personally do not have a good answer to. So, any answer that I will give you would be just an assumption. It is very, very weird. No one ever used Isa. Rob Christian, for example, he says that Isa, it means
Is the semen of
maybe,
the camel. That's
yeah,
written in the Islamic scripture in one of the tafseer of the Quran where they talks about the word meaning, like the literal word meaning Isa. Yes.
yeah. So, but this is at a later stage because, of course, it comes from the sin. So, what did the Quranic author intend? This is something that I really do not know.
Hmm. All right.
But let me tell you before going any further that the Quran doesn't mention Christians, it mentions a certain group of heretics. So when it says Nasara, it means the Nazarenes. So these were not Christians, they were sort of a sort sect of Jews that believed in Jesus as the Messiah, but they had very heretical ideas. And also when the Quran says Alladina hadu, it doesn't mean the Jews, it means those who Judaized. And this is also another heretical sect. And Paul, in his letters, he ridiculed both of these sects, the Nazarenes and the Judaizers. So, whenever you see a translation having Nasara as Christians, you know that this person he didn't do his homework because Christians in Arabic is Masihiyin.
Masih.
They always
Yep.
what?
That's what we call them in Pakistan as well. Masihi.
Yeah, a Christian is always called Masihi in any language because he has to be connected with Jesus, not with Nazareth. You see, so this is very
Absolutely.
important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is really the problem. That is why they say that they took Maryam as God as well, because none of the Christians actually do that. None of the Christians take Maryam as God, except there could be some heretics, because even if we look at the 5th century, 4th century, 5th century, 6th centuries, we don't even find a particular group which would take Maryam, Jesus, and Father as one God. Nobody has ever done that. So Quran actually failed in that attempt as well. I don't know where Quran is taking, what kind of a sect it is, where it was. I have no idea. But there's another question here. He said, I will not read his name. Hi Adam, can Quran be thought of in a perspective of angel Gabriel as someone residing in away in hills, and what fantasizes he thought told a person who can read or write, can't read or write, maybe main culprit is angel. Come on, man. Really, Murad, would you like to answer that?
I don't think I really understand what he is trying to
So he's
say.
saying that can you take Quran as a person who is supposedly angel Gabriel, who is living in some hills, and he's fantasizing things, and then he's giving it to somebody who can't even read or write, and then that guy wrote it. So he's mixing the sin narrative with
No.
another narrative that he created in his mind. So he is making two narratives, a sin narrative which is already there, and now he's adding a sin narrative to the standard Islamic narrative and another narrative of his narrative. So he's mixing two narratives right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's probable what he is saying. If he is a person and he gave it to a an unlettered person, because remember, actually the idea that Muhammad was unlettered is a fabrication. The actual word ummi, it means he is Gentile, he is not a Jew.
Yeah, he's a
This
pagan.
is not a pagan, a Gentile. He is not a Jew. This is the Quran when it says Rasul Ummiyin. So he was not from the lineage which is Jewish. So the idea that Muhammad was unlettered, it came much later. You see, it comes from the
Absolutely.
Abbasids also. Let me tell you
Uh,
also, there is this
mhm.
heresy about connecting Mary as part of the Trinity. I think maybe I am onto something. It's called the Collyridian heresy, and this is what the
Yeah.
Quran is mentioning.
But Coloridians are said supposedly because they do not have the written things of the Coloridians. If even if you search on the Coloridians, let me search it for you. Let me figure out Coloridian cult. It's just a second. Uh,
Yeah, it only comes from writings about them, but not from
yeah.
them.
So you do not have a proper writing which could associate Coloridians to be people who worship Mother Mary as part of God.
Yeah, but still, I'm saying it's a much better assumption to assume this group which died out better than assuming the usual Christian, because no usual Christian connects Mary to the Trinity.
Hmm. So, like it is said that these are the heretical sect, but so when Wiki writes it, it writes it as this: Coloridianism or Coloridianism was an alleged. So whenever you read a sentence which says alleged, things goes into an allegation. It's an allegation. An
Yeah,
alleged early Christian movement in Arabia whose adherent worshipped the Virgin Mary. So now the problem is it's an allegation towards a heretical Christian cult movement, but once again, it's an allegation towards them.
yeah.
There's no evidence for that.
I think maybe a church father mentioned something like that, but I need to look into it.
Hmm. All right. All right. With that being said, I think we can end the stream so far over here. And guys, if you want to have more questions to Saint Murad, you can join his coffee cup, coffee thing. Okay, hold on. Where's the coffee thing? The coffee, buy me a coffee thing, and then you can write to Saint Murad. You can speak with him, get his Quran translation, and if you have any more questions, he will be able to answer you. This is the link for the to download the Saint Murad translation. So thank you everyone for being here. Saint Murad, your last statement before I close the stream.
Well, thank you, Adam, for having me once again. And I'm very happy to be talking with the people tonight. Um, this Quran translation, I will tell people, please don't assume that you know. Please don't assume that this is another Quran translation, because this is a big mistake. And this translation will actually like make you turn you into a warrior, which will look into other avenues that no one ever discovered before. So get my translation, ask me the questions. We could have a discussion, a Q&A on my channel in the future. And again, thank you very much for having me, Adam, and back to you.
Thank you so very much. And Saint Murad channel name is Saint Murad. So you can easily find him. Let me share his channel as well. This is his YouTube channel. Here you go. So you can join his channel as well. So guys, thank you so very much. Take care. Have a blessed day, evening, or night, wherever you are. Yeshua Akbar Azim. God bless.